There is in Ukraine undiscovered phenomenon, which is almost unknown in the world, unknown at all. Even not all Ukrainians know about it, about boat-shaped churches. A very small amount of such churches remained, and they have some peculiarities. First of all, there are quite ancient churches built of wood. They are several hundred years old. They have to demonstrate that it is the archetype of boat-shaped temple. By the way, in many religions, not only the Christianity contains it. The archetype of boat-shaped temple came to us from the ancient generations. It has been preserved. It is a unique example of church and temple building of Hutzul type. Hutzul style has built of internal and external exterior, interior, and volumetric plan and solution. The settlement itself is situated in a picturesque area in the valley of the upper course of the river Chorna Tisa, at the foot, surrounded by the two highest and the biggest ridges of Ukrainian Carpathians, Svidovets Massif and Chorna Hora. The first mention about this settlement, dated 1505, is already mentioned in the beginning of the 16th century. The church itself had been already built on this place in 1824. There are also known documents about the building of this temple. According to the legend, in ancient times from the village of Zeleny, of Orochta, a Hutzul man Ivan Struk every year was grazing here a flock of sheep, meaning that he summered here because there were beautiful pastures in Yasen Valley. But as every year winter must remind about itself in the end of summer, when people celebrate the Uspenia of the Holy Mother of God on the 28th of August, the Christmas of the Holy Mother of God, pure Holy Mother of God, on the 21st of September. So between these holidays, Hutzul men say the Carpathians must be covered with snow. By this period, Hutzul men of course have been ready, they are rounding up the flock of sheep from the valley. But Ivan Struk, in accordance with the legend, didn't keep up to cross the pass. The weather rapidly changed, the pass was covered with lots of snow, and he couldn't get to the side of Carpathians, where his home was. He, however, according to the legend, made a sheepfold in Yasen Valley on the place of building, being after it in the future Struk church, where we are now. He turned back here in spring, and was very happy to see that his sheep wintered, even having new lamps. When the settlement appeared here, very soon he built on this place the chapel in honor of his sheep wintered here. Then with time the church itself appeared here. Among the people it was called Struk Church in honor of Ivan Struk. This church is known as Holy Ascension because it is religiously and spiritually dedicated to the holiday of Ascension of the Lord, one of the biggest Christian holidays, being included in top 20 holidays, and the holiday of Ascension of the Lord. This church, as most churches in Transcarpathia, has touristic, cultural and religious, ethnographic and architectural meaning. So such thematic must be emphasized more to popularize these churches. Of course, because there's some kind of magnet of that area being built on. The life and everything happened in this settlement, connected with these churches here in Yasen. It was discovered by lots of researchers and historians. So, for good reason, in June in 2013, Holy Ascension Church, Struk Church, were next to, were included in UNESCO World Heritage List. The church is covered with shingle roof of 2 decks for better protection against atmospheric precipitation, rain and snow. As we can see, the replacing of upper cover is being conducted because the work is being done step by step, then goes lower part. Roof of danger because they covered the roof with its steering. This is an approach into the architectural assembly, connected with the nature itself, like spruces, little Christmas trees, and Christmas trees having the tearing of their branches, as well as the church having this roof of danger, and this is an element of such nature style, transferred to the architecture itself. These temples are built a very long time ago, and it is difficult to figure out now what remained from the ancient times and what came to us from the Middle East. But the archetype of all spiritual cultures joined, and such phenomenon as boat-shaped churches appeared. It means that these churches really look like boats, and called boat-shape among people in ethnographic resources, because they have to float to eternity. Near such churches, people think of eternal stuff, universe, eternal life, trying to understand the eternity. That's why these churches in people's memory are not only the symbol of boat floating on the water, but also of boat floating through the universe. Now we're at the place where the Church of the Christmas of the Holy Mother of God was, and still is after the fire in 1994. It is pseudo-Gothic, wooden, having so-called Maromorsk type, situated in Tsutsurash, in the village of Stablivka, having the former historical name of the village of Saldobosh. It is a unique church. It was an example of unique wooden church building. A lot of art critics, architects, historians, ethnographers were amused by this church and consider it to be a sample of perfect people's building, meaning that masters achieved the perfect skills in building of such church. It is very pity that the church was burnt, of course, for unknown reasons in 1904. It has been in such condition for 15 years. The church's nava, meaning the nave and the entering of church, was burnt so much, but the altar wasn't totally burned down. This church is unique because the altar part converges to a trapezoid round shape. Nevertheless, the altar part has two roofs. The danger roof covered not only the nave being the main frame, but also the altar part, because it is vertically two-piped, the lower frame and upper frame. And of course the church is covered with wooden covering roof. As we can see, it was covered after the fire 15 years later. It is standing now as Noah's Ark. In the church, once in a year, on the Christmas of the Holy Mother of God, the worship is being conducted because there is a throne of the Lord, stone, altar situated in the altar part. So in this way, it is possible to keep this historical memory about this church. We are now near the monument of architecture, the Church of Saint Nicholas, the Wonder Worker. This church is built in 1704. Of course, it didn't have the same look as we see now. Before, it was a small house covered with straw. Later, in 1740, this church was transferred here from the neighboring Vinograd district, from the village of Shashavar. And later, when the bell tower was being built in 1710, this church had already been built. There were babinets, sanctuary, and spire. And this church had the same look as we see now. Unfortunately, It is more than 300 years old and always needs to be restored. In the end of the 16th, at the beginning of the 17th year, the church was restored because the whole roof covering unfortunately leaked. When it was raining, the water leaked inside the church and ruined it. Thanks God, the church was restored and saved. We hope it will be saved for 10 of years. Only this small roof remained to be restored, but it doesn't already damage the church in that way. Unfortunately, the war brought its huge corrections, and now the government doesn't have the possibility to complete or restore this church and other monuments of architecture. We hope that this military time will be over very soon, and we will be able to restore and rebuild this church, to conduct restore works, as well as restore the bell tower situated on the same area. This temple is dedicated to Saint Nicholas. His memory is honored on the 19th of December. That's why every 19th of December we have here a temple holiday, to make this church to be not only empty one or just like a museum, but also to be acting sanctuary where we can pray. Nevertheless, in summer 2-3 times per year, when it is warm, here the worship is being conducted. In this settlement we're now, near the unique temple, there is a date of building, or the first such mention, 1750. There are ambiguous thoughts about this date. When the temple itself was built, it is assumed to be built at the beginning of 1080s, but there are also first mentions about 1750s. Thereby, both of these dates are considered to be correct. However, the temple of any date is more than 200 years old. This church was built more than 200 years ago. There is a place called Malé Podorei, a little bit above from the place we're now. According to the local legend and storytelling in the settlements on that place, in ancient time, there was a bell tower with a bell, but during the thunder, a lightning hit the bell tower, so the bell fell and rolled. It rolled down, and on the place where it ended up, later the temple, where next to now, was built. Without any doubt, this temple is a decoration of the village Dilov in the whole Rakhiv region, because it is one of the most beautiful, well-kept, restored church permanently covered with authentic and traditional cover and roof protecting the frame of the church against atmospheric precipitation, some influence, and thereby the church is in such good condition. In volumetric planning solution, as we can see, it has rectangular base. It is the planning of Western European theme in the architecture, coming to our place from Transylvania and higher alongside Tisa. In the 13th-14th century, it was bricked in volumetric planning solution, the rectangular planning of the church. Thereby the church is classically divided, having altar part, nave or nava, and babinets. And of course the porch is nice, because the gallery is totally opened and adjoins the entering of the temple. The church, according to the sites of the earth, regarding the west-east, is built in such traditions that the altar part is directed to the east. when the priest is praying in the altar part. So the first sun rays being good news, having creation. The God's creation as the sun is also having creation according to the Christian believing. Light up this throne of the Lord, and the good news rise. And of course, when parishioners come in the morning to pray, the sun lights up the altar part, and the throne of the Lord, the altar in the altar part. After the celebration of Sunday or evening service, they come out and look at the east, where the sun goes down. They have already thanked the God with their praying, cross themselves, look at the onset hoping to meet a new day and to see again the sun. Thereby such temples were built with the altar part directed to the east, because there is the sun. The blessing rises there. A new day begins, and there is the tomb of the Lord in Jerusalem. And in the west, the sun is going down, being locked at after the worship. Now, when some religious buildings are built, they can be directed to any site. In ancient times, this tradition was kept by our ancestors in building of sacred and spiritual sanctuaries and churches.
The stone
Under the foundation of our church was put on the 13th of November in 1471. It is one of the oldest wooden churches in Transcarpathia and the most active until now. It is 26 meters of height till the cross itself, 19 meters of length, 6 meters of width. Mainly such churches are divided in 5 parts. Our church doesn't have a courtyard. It has only pronaos, naos, krylos, and sanctuary. The church is built of oak. The frame itself is built by using only wooden nails without metal nails. It is obviously, if we are speaking about the shingle, about the covering itself, so it is connected by metal nails. By 1946, it had existed as Greek Catholic parish. In 46, our prayer was arrested. On his position, another Orthodox priest came from Moldavia, the city of Belts, and was serving here by 50s. In 1950, the church was closed by 1991. Then it was being repaired, and people wanted to be a museum. But nothing remained in the church, because people took iconostasis with themselves. So there were only empty walls. Thereby, the cinema for children was made there. It was working as the cinema for children for 4 years, and later it was closed by 1991. Then the son of the former priest, being also the priest, proclaimed himself to be Greek Catholic, gathering the money and building the lower church. When the building was completed, it was dedicated to the Romanian Orthodox Church of the Moscow Patriarchate. Then Greek Catholic community came back here. So since 1992, somewhere in January, the church has been acting and working again as Greek Catholic Church. Our community consists only of Romanian families, because here in Nizhny Akcha, 99% of Romanians live. There are 70 families, 216 people. So on Sunday and on holidays there can be 45, 50, 60 people on service. We belong to Mukachevo Greek Catholic Eparchy. But here we are praying only in Romanian language. But nevertheless, on the holiday of St. Nicholas, When Ukrainians come, we are praying in both languages, Ukrainian and Romanian. Spiritual cultures appear on purpose. One of them transfers its heritage to other spiritual culture. Whatever religion was on the territory, it always built the temple or sanctuary at the same place. Archaeologists, digging up the temple of some ancient religion, all the time dig up several temples. And this is ancient church of St. Nicholas, built near the stones, been several thousand years old, and there is some evidence that it was used as altar of one of ancient faiths, perhaps ancient Slavic faith. Maybe the worship of the Magi was conducted here. Vedic tradition has the cortex ritual. To obtain the higher power, the person needs to go clockwise around the saint place, as the saint mountain Kailas is being gone around, as well as quite all temples, stones, and oaks, meaning that the cortex is a Vedic tradition practiced by all residents of Transcarpathia near the boat-shaped churches and wooden churches. They are gone around, and it is said that if to go around the circle near the church, so the legs stop aching, and person can withstand any physical activity in mountains.